know what time it is.
Yes.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Boy Wonder.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like it.
Welcome back to another episode of RSVP Sport. As always, I'm Jonah Francis, and I'm with my guys, Ronnie,
What's up?
Delmer.
What's going on?
Not a lot, man. On this dry Wednesday night, there's a lot of games going on. And at this point in the league, as we talked about in our last podcast, they can't really afford to take a night off anymore. It's all playoff games.
Yeah. Those that are on top, Atlanta, Golden State, never been there before. They can't afford to lose a beat. So, Atlanta, unfortunately, has gone through some injuries.
They feel like they have something to prove on a nightly basis because the league is just coming after them.
Oh, yeah, the league's wide open to show and prove.
Sure. So with that being said, what I want to do is kick off our first part of the podcast is talk about winning and get from the both of you what you define as being a winner, a Lakers guy, purple and gold. You learn pretty quick what winning is. You know what I'm saying, Ronnie?
Yeah, I do. I mean, of course, our view of winning is a little bit different because we've actually won, multiple times. So, but no, definitely winning is subjective. A lot of different franchises are considered winnings. A lot of different players are considered winnings.
Especially this year. As you just mentioned, Golden State's up top with Atlanta. They've never been up top before.
Right.
And, they just actually threw a party the other night because, they won their division for the first time.
Right. And the Lakers, if they had won the division, is something they wouldn't do.
Right. No.
But I would say one thing is that, they didn't win it in, 39 years? Yeah, so,
of course.
And winning it before anyone else won a division, I feel like does add some sentiment to it. It was kind of corny. I would say, act like you've been there before, fellas, similar.
But they haven't.
No, I completely respect what they're doing. That's a pretty young team, at least for their stars.
I would.
And Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry.
But at the end of the game last night, Steph was asked about it, and he said, he really did play it down. He said that there was a lot more things that they had to look forward to, that they had to accomplish this season.
As he should. Now, the question is, what do you define as winning? So, do you have an actual definition? Do you have an organization that you look to, or some sort of semblance of the word winning?
I don't think you can look at any other organizations other than the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers, and I think it is in this league winning that title.
So how about when assessing players? Because there's only a select few that wins. Well, are we defining players as being winners completely just by championships, or are we taking everything else into consideration?
I think that's a bit more of a loaded question than it is with organizations and teams.
The question was, what do you define as winning? We spoke about organization, but there's two different fronts when in sports.
Like Isaiah Thomas is definitely a winner, and he broke it down nicely when I watched it one time in the open court, and hopefully we'll get this clip playing for y'all. But basically he said winners each actually win or they lose to other winners. That's basically what he said. So all of the greats that we've seen and we considered winners, they've actually played those other winners and lost to them if they did in fact win themselves.
And I think Isaiah Thomas is an incredible person to bring up in this regard. That Isaiah won at every single level. Isaiah won state championships in high school. Isaiah won championships at Indiana with Bob Knight, and he brought it to the league with Detroit, winning 2 and beating Magic, Larry, and Bird to get his title. Only a few people can say that.
And exactly what you just said. When he lost, he also lost to those other winners: Magic, Bird, Michael.
Doesn't get better than that. And winning for as it's pertaining to players is definitely a lot different than it is for teams. I would say a guy like Allen Iverson is still to me considered a winner because what he did for a franchise, being by far the best player on that team without any help, has to be considered someone who's a winner because...
Well, he also fits that criteria. He lost to Kobe and Shaq in the finals. So he also falls within that criteria.
And my favorite all-time player, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was getting bounced out by LeBron, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, if Jason Kidd wasn't winning, he was losing.
It doesn't matter where you lose, you still lose. But with that being said, there's a lot going on in the NCAA. I want you guys to tweet us, get at us. Our website is officially dropping this weekend, so we got a bunch of articles and whatnot for you guys to catch up on. But, tweet us. Let's talk about this a little bit more, and we might bring it back up another time. But there's a lot going on in the NCAA, Domer.
And, I mean, it really is madness. It's totally unpredictable. You really never see what's happening. It's 10 people on the court who are honestly just giving it everything they have. It's just kids that aren't doing it for the money. They're doing it simply for the love of the game. We had 2-3 seeds go down within the first 3 hours. We had Michigan State beat Virginia on Saturday. We had teams like Wichita State and Dayton continue to prove that small market conferences can win consistently. And, we have guys who are consistently proving that it is a young man's game, that these kids who do come into college already stars in the All-American phase.
Who's impressed you so far?
I mean, the names out there right now have to be Karl Anthony Towns,
right?
Jahlil Okafor, Stanley Johnson, D'Angelo Russell out of Ohio State. We've got, multiple guys that can honestly impact an NBA franchise right now. And that honestly does bring us into what we were going to harp on, and that's whether should these kids be allowed to impact those NBA franchises fresh out of high school, or do they have to wait? It's the debate that's going on. It's the debate that will continue to go on.
And we might as well take a stab at it. Being that you opened up this segment, what do you feel?
I think if I am a perfect example is a Kevin Durant. If I'm Kevin Durant, I know for a fact that coming out of high school, I am going to dominate wherever I play. Now, is it fair to make Kevin Durant play with people who are inferior to him and just completely destroy them for a season and really risk injury and risk, him losing millions of dollars at the next level? Or is it fair for him to just, exercise his rights as an adult in this country?
In your opinion?
I believe if you can go to war in this country at 18, you should be able to go and earn a paycheck. And I think it goes at every level, and I think it should, why not for sports?
I would agree with you until I start thinking about the real world, right? There's barriers to entry in every single thing that we do in life. And that's just one of the many.
Right, but that barrier is never age.
Actually, a lot of times it is.
Maturity is
a lot of times it is, because when you get out of college, in order to get a financial job, you had to go to school. There are those select few that might get through that barrier, but for 99%, you had to go get your CPA or your CFA
but the thing about
do other things. So again, in life, there are barriers to entry in every single thing we do. If the NBA as an organization, let me get this off here. Okay. If the NBA as an organization says that in order for you, who just became legal in the United States, to work for us, this is what you have to do first.
A prerequisite. I agree. I mean, it's a very good point.
Well, everyone knows that if the NBA sets the limit, then the NBA sets the limit. That's what everyone agrees with. The question is, should they set a limit? And in life, college is not a prerequisite. It's a recommendation. It is a suggestion.
Great point.
If you're not ready, go to college and get ready. So for those who feel that they're ready, there shouldn't be something stopping them. And that's what college is potentially doing to some. Now, of course, the college game would be a lot better if these players are, have to stay until they're 20 like they want right now. Mm-hmm. Or stay for a season. But, stay for a season, you hype them up, and it does improve some of them. And then some of them you see that they're basically just
the one thing that you
toying
just said
around.
That really interested me was, the kids do feel like they're ready, and the people around them do feel like they're ready. But the crazy part is the employer also feels like they're ready, because their name is out there in these scouts' names, and it's these people's job to study these kids. And if the employer feels as though they're ready, why is the governing body, hampering this process?
What's the responsibility of the United States government?
To protect and to serve the people.
Exactly. So that same principle applies to every single aspect of business. The league is the owner, or the association is the owner of the NBA, obviously, and obviously all of the owners report to basically the commissioner, or vice versa. But
It's a joint effort. But.
Exactly. But the point of, the commissioner and having all of these avenues that they go through is to protect the best interest of the game, right? So it's to protect the owners from also doing something stupid or potentially placing themselves in situations where they mess up. There's been good draft moves that, people that's paid off, like Kobe, KG, LeBron James. But how many of those are there really? The Kevin Durant situation, yeah, he came in and scored, but it took him some time to start winning. How many rookies actually impact the game to the level that we're thinking that they can? So again, in my opinion, as long as it's for the best interest of the game, I'm with it.
I think you're with what? I think it's having the age limit.
I'm with having the age limit. And again, I'm going back to my original point.
And what is your age limit?
Whatever the league wants it to be. Those 2 years, I think, is fine. Or the 1 year.
Right now, it's 1 year.
I hear that, and I think those 2 years are fine as well.
I think if you're protecting and serving the people, and the people's wishes are
they're
so-and-so.
They're protecting and serving the league.
My point is, the NBA could do what they want, and if they suppose that the age limit is what they want, then okay, we have to abide by that. But just thinking about it, if someone is ready, you can't tell them they're not ready. Like college is not a requirement.
Though. Everywhere does that though. Like rappers, they grind it right, until they finally make it.
And then a Soulja Boy could put a song out on the internet and it blows up.
Cool.
And he was ready. But everyone thought he wasn't. So you see what I'm saying? What was the grind
that Soulja Boy went through though? It wasn't that he just put one thing out. He had a lot of things putting out. So again, there are barriers to entry and everything. You just want to speed this up.
No. I don't want to speed nothing up. If you're ready, you're ready. I cannot tell you you're not ready. That's my point.
Except jobs do tell people they're not ready, and life does tell people that they're not ready, and they have their own barriers.
Right, but that's an individual basis, though. It's not a segment.
Not really, because you said college isn't a prerequisite. Well, it is for depending on what field you want to go into. The NBA is not. You said that college is not a prerequisite. If I want to open my own business,
can I open my own business at any age?
Did I not just say depending on the field you want to go into? Correct.
So why depend? Why would it be this
yes
field?
Or no? Just yes or no. Depending on the field you want to go into, college is a prerequisite.
Unless you can make money off of it.
Depending on the field you want to go into.
But here's the thing.
College is a prerequisite. Let me get this point off real quick. College is a prerequisite.
In some
depending
fields,
on the field. Okay, great. Right.
So my point is that in the NBA field, it should not be a prerequisite.
And I'm saying if the
it's
NBA
been proven
that
it's been proven that it's not needed, right?
All right.
How?
Because there has been some people who've made it.
But the league says otherwise.
Listen.
What can they say that's otherwise? What is otherwise?
Here are the names
them not allowing them to come in at 18
No. I understand the rule that you said.
Go ahead.
There are freshmen by the droves that are coming into the NCAA and dominating. It looks like these kids shouldn't even be on the court. It's an embarrassment. Jaleel Okafor, Karl Anthony Towns, Justice Winslow out of Duke. So 2 kids out of Duke that are freshmen that are both going to be top 7 picks. One guy that we haven't talked about is Emmanuel Mudiay, who had to leave his home country to go pursue a basketball career in China because where he was born and raised is telling him that he can't play until he waits a year after high school. He can't come from high school into here because there's a grace period. So he decided that he was going to go earn a paycheck and play professionally in another country. It's working. Now, no one is telling Emmanuel Mudiay and these other kids. I mean, there's Miles Turner out of Texas, who's another freshman. Kelly Oubre out of Kansas, who's another freshman. Stanley Johnson out of Arizona, another freshman. Devin Booker coming off the bench for Kentucky is another freshman who's 6'6", is a shooting guard. He's going to be a top 12 pick.
Nowadays, if you wait past your freshman year, something's wrong with you. Like juniors, seniors, they're like, okay, they have no potential.
Okay.
It's guys that are technically kind of overlooked. I mean, yeah, that's how it works.
Look, we're all on different sides here. We might as well leave this topic for the listener. One of our guest hosts right now that we're bringing in for the first time, my guy, Mr. Jeffrey Kelly.
What's going on, bro?
How you doing, bro?
Pretty good.
So Jeff, What's up with your Pacers, my guy? What's going on with Paul George?
Oh man, you know if he comes back, it's a wrap.
For who? For what?
For the East.
You serious?
Nah. This season was a wash before it started, unfortunately. But also before that college thing, what does 1 year of going to college do for a kid?
In my opinion,
Like, say he doesn't play basketball.
say he doesn't play
Why
basketball.
would you go to college for 1 year? Why make someone go for 1 year? That you can't get a degree off that.
That's a solid point. That's why I said I'm okay with them extending it to 2 years. So if they did extend it to 2 years, you do get to learn. Again, I said the point of the association is to protect its governing party, whoever they're governing over, which are the teams and the owners. You giving them another year to really assess these guys, it's benefiting the league. You know, you're protecting the owners, and that's what Commissioner Silver is supposed to be doing.
The only thing that me and Ronnie are opposed is that the NBA is always going to be a players' league, and
Right.
the players' wishes
That's
are
the-
always going to trump anyone else's wishes.
You think so?
And the players' union,
They should.
I mean, that's it's for the most part, it's swayed in the players' favor.
Shouldn't owners be able to pick whoever they want, though?
Yes.
Like, you don't have to protect them. In the NFL, there will be like, you'll hear someone get drafted. They're like, I was working at Home Depot for the last 3 years, but they tried out and they were good and they got picked and they did good. So it's like the owners pick who they want.
All
In the
right. So
NFL,
if it was your Pacers, like you want to take
I would just trust-
high school people.
if Larry Bird thinks they would fit, they probably will.
I hear that.
Like, you can't. Why let like the owner, like the NBA, decide who you can pick?
So all right, cool.
If a 13-year-old's good enough, draft him.
All right, so let's stay. Let's stay.
It's a
Let's
players'
stay on.
league.
Let's
It's a
stay
players'
on.
league.
Yeah, I
It's-
want to hear your thoughts on the Pacers. What's going on with
Yeah.
the Pacers?
Continue.
I knew losing Lance Stevenson. I know, like looking at his season now, it seems like he sucks kinda. But I think losing him was huge because he was an X factor for them. Because they have their starting lineup last year was basically 4 role players and Paul George.
Yeah.
And like Lance Stevenson was a wild card that could really swing the momentum here or there. So they losing him already would have been a different team even if Paul George played. But then Paul George going down is like, come on.
But with this
Not a chance in hell.
roster as it is right now, let's say Paul George come back and you guys happen to make the playoffs, like you were in 7th seed a couple weeks ago,
We
right?
could, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys happen to fall in that 8th spot, and Miami is in that 7th spot. But how much is Paul George really going to help you out this year in the playoffs on this roster?
I mean, he could help out a lot, but being an 8th seed going against the Hawks, they barely beat them last year. So coming back this year would be awful. But
That was fun. It'll be a nice
man.
little flip.
that was wild last year. But if he comes back healthy, he's instantly making them a better team, where they would be like a 5 or 4 seed maybe in the East.
How do you think he would come back? No matter like the bone is healed, right? He's healthy,
Yeah.
but he's not in shape. He's not in rhythm. Teams
Yeah,
are ready for
that's what-
playoff basketball.
that's
He's not
what-
even ready for
If he came
training
back
camp.
ready and fearless, they would be good, but they're not. I wouldn't consider them even halfway a threat right now.
Right.
They'd probably get washed by the Hawks if they're the 8th seed. 4-0 maybe.
You know, another team that I like out there, out in the Eastern Conference, that's also a bottom feeding team fighting to stay in.
Miami.
Damn straight, Ronnie. How you know? How you know? I thought you only.
You jumped shipped on my Lakers and went to Miami, man.
Come on, man. Never that.
Is the
Purple
weather,
and gold
is the
on
weather
my
better,
door.
better over there?
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice, but it ain't LA, man. It's not LA. I miss Kobe. All this vintage way's been fun too, though.
Yeah, he was healthy. He was healthy. He missed tonight's game though.
I saw an ESPN graphic that said something about LeBron and the Cavs wanting no parts of Miami in the 7-game series.
Why would you?
I mean,
Why
they would
you?
probably still lose, but I'm not gonna lie, it would be a dogfight.
Stop it.
Miami would lose.
He's not lying. Are you?
Miami would lose.
Hasn't
but
Miami beat?
that would be a dogfight.
Hasn't Miami beat them a bunch of times? this
Yeah,
year?
2-1 this season.
Here y'all go. Here y'all go. We all know, okay? We all know Miami. We might give them one game against Cleveland.
Nah, I'm giving them 3.
LeBron's not
Heat.
mentally strong. Facing them like messes with his head.
100%. I agree with
He's
that.
weak. He gets in his own head all the time. That's why they lose. That's why he's lost when he's lost. Because he stops believing
Agree.
in himself.
That's the exact reason why he
stop
lost
it
to
here.
the Mavericks.
Let's stop it.
That's
Okay,
the
that
reason
was
they
like
lost to
what,
the
5
Mavericks.
years ago. LeBron
Point-
has been the best player since. All right, he's been the best player in the NBA since.
Yeah.
And even that
Consistently.
year, he was still the best player.
Yeah,
We were just surprised.
consistently.
Since then, he's performed in the clutch. When his team lose, it's not because of LeBron. Let's not put that out there, please. All right.
Who said I'm putting it out there?
Cleveland.
But it's a fact he gets in his own head.
Cleveland playing against Miami, it'll be a shock if Miami gets 2 games. It's the playoffs. The same thing happened with Brooklyn last year. Oh, they went how many games against Miami? They beat them. Brooklyn has Paul Pierce and KG. They're gonna give Miami a problem. It's not happening like that.
The only reason why I say
it may be
it's a little
close
different-
games. Of course, it's the playoffs. If you don't have teams beating Atlanta, I don't know how you could have them beating Cleveland. Cleveland still has the best
Who did I
player
say
in the
they're gonna
game.
beat? I didn't say he was gonna beat him. I said they're taking 3 games.
Like if Indiana wouldn't do anything against Atlanta, how could we say then Miami would do something against Cleveland? Like there's something to be said for a team that has gone
Have you
27-7 since LeBron has been
The only
back.
reason why that's not entirely true is because the NBA is about matchups, and the Heat do match up.
It's all about keeping people in the game. If Chris Bosh was here, I'd definitely feel a little bit more realistic about my 4-3 prediction. There's some other teams in that bottom. There's Boston. There's also Charlotte. Jeff, these are people that you're actually going to be competing with for the next couple of years, especially when it comes to draft picks and in the Eastern Conference. Do you really have faith that Paul George is going to be that much of a better player than like Kawhi Leonard?
I think Paul George is like 1 degree away from being a superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Offensively, an animal. Offensively, he's just not hungry like Kobe or Wade or LeBron. Like when he attacks, when he gets all amped up, he can just go on a tear. But like, it seems like he's timid and won't do it. And I'm just waiting for something in him to be like.
You think this injury might have pushed him over?
It might slow him
In
down.
which direction?
Or
Yeah.
it might be like, I need to do something because.
Well, let me ask you a
never
question.
know.
Saying that you're not sure, it sounds like you're not sure if he could be the number 1 guy.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, on that team, he is the number 1 guy.
Right, but
regardless.
going forward, Roy Hibbert, David West, expiring contracts next year.
I want Hibbert still because I like Hibbert.
I do
For
too.
like a pure center, he does what he has to do. But like going back to when they play the Heat and it's him versus LeBron and they're going back and forth, it kind of sparked him to be like, "This
Yeah.
is what's up." Like
Yeah.
LeBron hits a 3, then he goes, "All right, I'll hit a 3 in your face
Yeah.
too." And when you see him get that confidence, you're like, "Oh my God, this dude, he's next up." But then he won't do it all the time, and it's like he doesn't even try, and I don't get it.
But how many players have we seen do that? He's a good talent, but the difference between a superstar is being able to do it
drive.
consistently.
I think he could do it. It's like he doesn't try sometimes. If he had the drive or he doesn't seem as passionate as I wish he was. If he had Lance Stevenson's passion with his skill set, he would be unstoppable.
How long before he turns into Joe Johnson?
He's young.
Jesus Christ, Jonah.
What you saying, D?
Jonah's throwing gut checks out here, ladies and
Joe
gentlemen.
Johnson never cared.
Joe Johnson's demeanor is nothing like Paul George's. Joe Johnson is the type of guy who just wants to relax.
The quiet wolf. They're both.
Joe Johnson was that guy, but once again, it seems like he wasn't capable of being a number 1 guy. That's a very fine line that an organization has to decide.
And that's why I threw in Kawhi Leonard. That's why I threw his name in there as well.
The only reason I say Paul George is getting slightly disrespected here is because Paul George is doing it on the offensive end, and what he's doing on the defensive end is only matched by 2 or 3 other people at his position or on the wings in general. And that's the only thing that sets him apart to me, but from most people in the league, because Kawhi can't do what he does on offense.
So I just want when the game is on the line, like Paul George is like, give me the damn ball and let me go do something. And I don't think he does that.
And I will
I
say
wish he
this.
did.
I will say this. I feel as though, D, you're being a little disrespectful to Kawhi Leonard, Finals MVP.
I love Kawhi Leonard. Come on, man.
Kawhi
Finals
Leonard is
MVP.
like, he looks boring. Like, even when he
Fits
dunks,
into the
his
team.
face, he's like half asleep. He
Yeah.
just doesn't look like, he's not electric by any means, but he could be if he wanted to be.
Well, I feel as though him and Tony Parker are the main reasons for San Antonio's recent turnaround and how they've been streaking. They've moved up to the number 6 spot. Dallas is now 7.
Wow. Yeah. Kawhi Leonard's a beast. He just doesn't have flair. Like,
It's not that he needs to.
yeah, but
He's a San
when
Antonio
you look
Spur.
at a star, you want flair.
No,
Like-
really, what's going on with him is the fact that he hasn't been consistent. That's the problem. It doesn't matter if he has flair or not. Tim Duncan, his teammate, never had flair.
But that's why
it's
no
really
one-
that he hasn't been consistent.
But Tim Duncan gets like, no one is like, Tim Duncan's my favorite player because he doesn't have flair.
Exactly. But he's been a star.
Yeah, he's still amazing.
I don't think-
I still look for flair. I'm like
Tim
like a
Tim
little
Duncan's
kid.
the greatest
I want
point
a
guard of
hero.
all time.
Something else,
I
right?
want a hero. Yeah, I like when I was little. Allen Iverson's my favorite.
So let me ask you this, Domer, and Jeff, you get to respond. Kawhi Leonard or Paul George? Who you taking?
Like there was a clip in the Olympics over the summer before Paul George got hurt when James Harden, Kevin Durant, and him were playing sit down. So they were playing one-on-one. Paul George wasn't as special with the ball as Kevin Durant and James Harden were because, I mean, those are all-time great offensive players. But Paul George was doing as he pleased on those guys.
So you're taking Paul George?
I'm taking Paul George just because he's special on both ends.
I already know who you're
I
taking.
would, yeah. I mean, I'm biased, but even then, I still would do that.
Paul
Cause
George?
yeah, he shows way more signs of like a star than Kawhi Leonard does.
I just think on the offensive side, but I do also feel as though Kawhi plays a little bit better defense than Paul George does.
It's close, but I'll give it to Kawhi. I think Kawhi is probably the best perimeter defender in the league.
Also, like anyone that wears a Spurs uniform just seems boring to me. Like they all just look boring. Everything about their team is boring.
But
So
yet
it's-
again, they've personified winning.
If it results in W's, I don't care what I look like.
I don't know. I'm style over substance.
I hear that. All right, yo. So, guys, let's get into one of our newer things that we're trying to develop here. Something that we're going to call our firing round. I'm going to put 24 seconds on the clock, right? And each and every one of you get, to hit off the topic, and then Ronnie, you'd get to respond, and we'll continue in that order. Being that this is our first time doing it, being that this is our first time having our a guest with us as well with Jeff. Jeff, it's only right you also join in on this, man.
All right, I'm done.
All right, cool. So we'll start with you, Ronnie. If you had to give the last shot to anyone in the league, who you giving it to?
Last shot, a fully healthy Kevin Durant takes my last shot. Nowadays, Kobe, he's not there anymore. Other than that, since he's not healthy, I may give it to Kyrie or LeBron.
Kyrie or LeBron?
Kyrie or LeBron right now.
Domer,
I think
24 seconds.
aside from me being a Nets fan, I think I have to give it to Kobe Bryant. I don't care if he's on one leg, two legs.
Whoa. Whoa.
Hey, his time not up. His time not up.
Let me get my shot clock. Kobe Bryant, if he's in the NBA, is getting that shot. And if it's not Kobe Bryant,
4,
it's Carmelo
3,
Anthony for me.
2,
I think Carmelo can make
1.
any shot in this league.
Jeff, who you taking? Who you getting?
This is crazy. Steph Curry. He'll shoot it. He'll J it up from half court, and it'll look regular. Like, I don't know. He's out of control.
All right, cool. All right, so you took who?
I took Kyrie or LeBron.
You took Kyrie. LeBron for last shot, whatever. Next topic.
All right,
Defensive
don't
player.
take the best player in the league.
I hear you. Defensive player of the year.
This is tough, man. This is either Draymond Green or DeAndre Jordan, and that's purely off of just name. Kawhi Leonard, I love his defense, but he hasn't been there long enough. He hasn't played consistently long enough this season.
Domer, defensive player of the year.
I think Defensive Player of the Year is the guy that's been anchoring his team the most on the defensive end, even though collectively the Clippers haven't been a very good defensive team. I got to give it to my man DeAndre. If I'm not
with it.
wrong,
I'm with it.
leading rebounder in the league from start to finish. He's up there in
Yep.
block shots,
Yep.
protecting the rim.
Yep.
Even
Top
though
10.
Even though the rest of his team is pretty much abysmal on that end, 19th in the league consistently, I think he's the only reason they're even.
Actually, they're creeping up there now.
They're creeping up into the teens, which is still pretty mediocre, but I
Time.
give it to him.
All right. If he played all year, I'd say Rudy Gobert, but I'll give it to Draymond Green.
I hear that.
He's a savage.
Now, Ronnie, bringing this whole topic full circle here, Steve Nash retired. Is he a winner in your book?
Yes.
I think if we're giving a one-word answer, Steve Nash has to be a winner. Yes.
He's Canadian. No. And he's white. No, yeah, he is. He has 2 MVPs, right?
He has 2.
I don't know why. But
No
yeah,
chips.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No
He's
chips.
lost to Kobe. He's lost to Tim Duncan. He lost to Dirk Nowitzki. He lost to winners.
I hear that.
Yeah. You got to say.
So, Jeff, your boy Paul George is set to return sometime this week, or no? That's been canceled.
Yeah, he said that was a no-no. He said not
But
even
he,
soon.
but he's coming.
I think
But he said
tricking
he's
us.
coming back.
Yeah.
I think so too. He said he is definitely coming back. So we're gonna keep an eye out for that game and bring you back after that game happens.
I'll be there.
Thanks for sticking around with us for another episode of RSVP Sport. Tweet us about some of these topics. Let us know who you feel as though are actual winners. Like, what do you define as being a winner? Is Steve Nash a winner? Need to plug anything, Ronnie?
Just our website coming soon. Be on the lookout for
Coming
that.
this Saturday.
All original material with our articles. Just be on the lookout for that. Of course, Google Plus will be up and running. Twitter, Instagram. Just support us.
D?
Instagram at RSVP_sport. All original content. Check us out.
Yeah. Kels, you want to plug anything? I know you got a couple things going on. Come on.
iBattle TV, man. If you like rap, look up Jeffrey. Just Google Jeffrey. I'm sure I'll be the first thing that pops up. That's not a common name at all.
2 capital Fs.
Yeah, 2 capital Fs. Jeffrey versus Hami got vaulted. Jeffrey versus Just Days, New York City.
Hey, be on the
main
lookout.
event, May 1st.
Be on the lookout. Thank you. And as always, we appreciate your time. Thanks for the support. RSVP Sport.
What we say today
Matters tomorrow.